What is the difference between a psychologist and a psychotherapist?
Well, technically, a psychologist is a psychotherapist. But what a lot of people don't know is that in Ontario, psychotherapists are not regulated, they're not registered. So what that means is you are going to somebody who could be literally anybody off the street. Anyone can call themselves a psychotherapist. Now, you would hope that they would have some kind of training, extensive experience, but many times that's not the case. So when you are looking for a therapist, buyer beware. Check into what their credentials are, check into what their background is, because as a psychologist, we have to be registered with the College of Psychologists of Ontario. And their only mandate is to protect the public, which is very important. They make sure that we have the competency to do what we're doing, and if a psychologist ever does anything that's inappropriate, then the client has recourse, and that's so important. With a psychotherapist, if they belong to their own college, they may be a social worker or a nurse or even a general practitioner, family doctor, they can all do psychotherapy. And if they do something that's wrong, then somebody can go to the college and launch a complaint. But if they're just an unregistered psychotherapist, you basically have no recourse. And that's pretty scary, especially considering that they may be trying to push some agenda onto you. Or they may not have the skill to deal with some serious issues, and they may not have the ethics or the insight or the morals to make sure that they don't get in over their head. So really, again, it's buyer beware. The other important thing to know is that there's this thing called coaches, life coaches, executive coaches. They are the least registered of anybody. There's literally no training involved. There's no special program that you take. Somebody might take some weekend workshop and call themselves a coach. Now, I'm not saying that it's necessarily a bad thing, but you're paying maybe $100, $500, $1,000 per hour for somebody to be your friend, to give you advice that you could probably get from anybody off the street. Yet somehow these coaches have now made their way into the market, and people are just, without really being critical shoppers or critical consumers, they're just paying a lot of money for really sometimes really poor service. There's no real value to it, whereas there may be some value to some coaches. But again, people really should do their due diligence. They should look into things and find out, what am I getting into? Who is this person, and what is my recourse? Now, in the next little while, there is a movement, and it's almost done, to have a college of psychotherapists. Once that happens, then there will be a whole new system, and then there will be proper oversight, and then there will be fewer concerns about these currently unregistered and unregulated professionals. Over the last couple of years, psychological associates have been subsumed under the College of Psychologists of Ontario, and basically they have all the rights and privileges of a psychologist as long as they prove their competency in any area. What that means is a psychological associate only needs a master's in their field, whereas psychologists in most places need a PhD. And so, whereas psychologists will spend 6 to 8 or 10 years getting their PhD, working in the university, getting training, learning how to be a researcher, a psychological associate will be working in the field for many years, honing their craft, hoping that they're being trained by the right people. So currently, they're both under the same college, and again, all the same rights and responsibilities, and they should have the same competencies as long as they can prove it to the college.